Alright, welcome to Face Off, a series where the best of the best go up against each other to determine who is the best of the class, or who is just the best between the two. And I think I picked the craziest matchup possible to open the series because we have Deathless Thanos versus the Serpent. And you could argue that this isn't even a battle of the best cosmic, it is just a battle of the best champion in the game right now. So yeah, what a crazy opener, and I also have this little key here to determine like what video you're watching. So for the Thanos side, which is this video, you can see that the thumbnail has the Thanos part lit up, while the Serpent side is grayed out. And for the next video, which is the Serpent side, the Serpent part will be lit up and the Thanos side will be grayed out, and then when it's the head-to-head face-off, it's gonna be, you know, the whole thumbnail just lit up. So yeah, I am very excited to start this series, and I think it is an absolute blast to start with these two champions. So this is the Thanos side where I focus on Deathless Thanos only, and then the next video is going to be where I focus on Serpent only, and then the last video is going to be the head-to-head where it's just like a mix of Thanos and Serpent doing the same fight, see who does it better, you know, stuff like that. But first off, let's talk about Deathless Thanos, and this is against Red Skull, which is a pretty notoriously annoying tech defender in the game. And the first thing I want to talk about with Deathless Thanos is the fact that he has such a big advantage in these types of fights. What am I talking about? Well, if your Thanos is awakened and he's max sig, he starts the fight with 30 of his necrotic charges, right? This only occurs on the first fight unless your team wins a different fight. So either he will just have it for one fight, or you can do like one fight with Thanos, then you switch the sides, and then like you switch who you do the fight with, and then you go back to Thanos, right? But when it comes to single fight modes, such as Battlegrounds, such as Summer of Pain type of stuff, his advantage in those matchups is so absurd because you start with an armor shatter that has insane potency and can lock down like any tech defender such as Future Ant-Man, which got like destroyed in 30 something seconds. That is insane, by the way. That's a rank 3 Future Ant-Man who does exist in the game now, and Thanos just completely owns him. Same thing with Arcade right here. Thanos has that advantage of the armor shatter immediately because it is just a one fight mode, so he gets that advantage to start the matchup, and yeah, because of that, you just hit so hard off rip, and that advantage is so silly, dude. I cannot believe it's in the game. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I cannot believe his awakened ability is a thing, because this is just so powerful, dude. The fight time that this man puts up is just silly, and that was unreal. And now I have this 1 million health Future Ant-Man because I do want to talk about his armor shatter and pulverize for a second, because as you can see, the fight starts, we pulverize the armor, and now he is armor shattered. Armor shattered got buffed as of recently, where it just blocks out any armor completely. Not just armor up buffs, but armor up passives such as Future Ant-Man's, which would trigger before like the buff happens, and it'd be super annoying obviously, right? But with Thanos, that doesn't happen, and he is just completely locked down, and with the very easy access to the effect pause that Deathless Thanos has, it is a pretty much permanent armor shatter. That is insane, and additionally, we do have the advantage in this map, in this content creator map, where the first fight is the Battlegrounds health pool, then the second fight is like the mid health pool, and then this is the final fight. And so what I did is I did the first fight with Deathless Thanos, I used someone else for the middle fight, and now because I used another character for that second fight, I get my 30 charge bonus at the start again. So if you plan out your like paths for Deathless Thanos, you will have insane results, and he will be crushing fights insanely fast if you just plan accordingly. And yeah, this was a 1 minute fight, dude. That is insane, bro. Now we have this Red Skull with 1 million health, And like the long fight potential of this champion is absurd, and you're gonna see that later on as well, because Thanos, he just hits hard, dude. And once he's ramped up, which is literally 2 SP1s if you have that bonus 30 charges at the start, just 2 SP1s, and you have your 8 Furies, you have your armor shattered, you are just crushing the fight. Once you're ramped up like that, with the effect pause, it is so easy to just keep that for the rest of the fight. It is like, it's silly, man. It's absolutely silly. And so the armor shattered is not going anywhere right now because of our effect pause. We dropped the SP1, we have all of our Furies, and now it's just showtime, dude. We're doing 22,000 mediums, not 22,000 mediums, 22,000 light attacks, 34,000 mediums, which is a crazier number. And yeah, so we go back in, we go for a combo into the SP2, and look at this damage. No crits, unfortunately. He is an extra large character, which means they don't crit super often. I'm pretty sure like all of them don't for some reason, except Mole Man. Just had to throw that out there because, you know, Mole Man is king, but that was also like a minute. Now let's talk about Panic, because this mechanic was introduced with Deathless Thanos. And you can already see in 9.1 that some cosmic lanes are requiring this to even like do the fight, because this has Mixmaster, but it also has True Lies. So don't want to shout out Serpent in this video too much, but this is actually something against Serpent, because Serpent's form of evade control is his true focus, which gets shut off by this node. So that means Deathless Thanos is the only character that can do this fight at base. Well, okay, that's not true. Okay, that's not true, but he is the only one that has a built-in panic, right? Because for other cosmic characters to do this, they need to activate the striker. They don't have an at-base panic like Thanos does. He is the only champion in the game that has that. I'm pretty sure anyway. I might be missing out on some characters, but I am pretty sure he was the first one at least. And yeah, for that reason, he is by far the best option for this lane and for any other like node that would want a panic debuff. However, there is one thing to talk about with this fight right here. It is the fact that we don't start with the armor shattered because we didn't do another fight with a different character. So we're going immediately into the next fight with Deathless Thanos, and as you can see, we lose out on a lot of damage at the start of the fight because we don't have that massive armor shattered. We have to drop 2 SP1s, and then we drop the SP2, and that SP2 inflicts the armor shattered. So it's a whole different story, obviously, right? Because we're missing out on a lot of damage to start the matchup. But then again, like, the ramp up isn't that bad for Deathless Thanos, even without like the 30 charge advantage, because it's just 2 SP1s and you drop the SP2, and then after that most fights are just done. And it was like still a minute. The Nebula fight was 48 seconds with class advantage, so like the difference in fight time, it's not even that major in my opinion. So I did put in my notes to talk about that issue with like his multiple fight I guess disadvantage, because you lose out on the armor shattered if you do multiple fights with him without taking a break. But even then, the fight time is still very good, right? Like a minute for those Act 9 health pools, that is not bad in the slightest, because those health pools are absolutely chunky. And yeah, while I was talking, he just absolutely destroyed that war machine, and he used his panic to do that, because of course his panic counters evade and miss, and this is a falter node. So yeah, his panic is really good. He gets it pretty frequently because you have to like counter punch very often to maintain his effects, and whenever you do that, you trigger the panic, and so it is just a very frequent like mechanic that you trigger very often. And for that reason, I think he is one of the better evade and miss counters in this game. Of course, it has its drawbacks because it is a debuff, and debuffs aren't always perfect, especially versus skill characters. But then again, this man wasn't made for skill characters, so does it really matter all too much? I guess it still does, but yeah, it is what it is, and that was a beautiful fight as well. Now I want to step into the ordeal for a second, because we have this Modok fight. Now, is this a good Thanos fight? Honestly, no. Like, he doesn't counter auto block, so that part of Modok is still very, very present, and I did get clipped because of it, but I do want to showcase how easy it is to maintain this character, because his effect pause will still trigger very frequently, and with our little heavy attack stun, we do actually counter the auto block kind of, because look, check this out. We're going to go in, we're going to drop the heavy attack, and that second hit right there, because of the stun, it does remove his auto block charge, which is insanely helpful for this fight. As you can see right there, do it again, perfect. And yeah, like for that reason, he does kind of counter Modok, I guess, but it's not the cleanest thing out there. There are better counters, such as like any skill champion with an auto block counter, but like it works, dude. It is a pretty good option for this matchup, and I think it's important to like note that Deathless Thanos can very easily brute force his way through a lot of matchups, because he's just that good, obviously, right? Like, that was to be expected with this champion. I know that like people were like demanding that he'd be good, obviously, right? And of course he turned out fantastic. Like, he is just brute forcing his way through everything right now, like in the contest. In like battlegrounds, he is insanely dominant, but like these types of scenarios, like, you know, the ordeal, where it is so hard to get the perfect matchup when you have like only 5 team members and 20 opponents, it's important to have characters that can just like brute force their way through stuff. And Deathless Thanos is one of those characters, because he just hits so hard to the point where like whatever's in his way, he's just gonna do it, you know? Like, that's how it is with this character at this point. But yeah, here we go for a heavy attack one more time, and beautiful crit, but yeah, SP3 will do the job. And there we go, pretty decent Thanos matchup in my opinion. Now we have the final thing here, and it is of course the Deathless team and his power in Necropolis. One of the very few champions, if not like the only champions or like set of champions, that have Necropolis based synergies. So that's pretty much telling you that this team was not designed for Necropolis, but like there was, you know, a lot of effort put into like making their Necropolis usage way up there. You know, like they are very good for this game mode. And while Necropolis isn't a thing that you like revisit often, it is still important to like get it done, in my opinion. So this team can do that for you very easily. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I'll just put it this way. It's not because of Vision, right? It's not because of like Vision. Guillotine, she is pretty good with the synergies, obviously, but this man just does so much work in this game mode, in this piece of content. And yeah, like you're gonna see what I'm talking about right here, right? Because of course his ease of use is like off the charts levels of good. He is so easy to use in this game mode, and additionally, the damage output, it's so good anywhere he goes. That's the crazy part. Like anywhere he goes, he will just put up good numbers, right? Even in these long fights where his kit looks like it's meant for like shorter fights and those bursty fights such as battlegrounds, but then you drop the SP3, you get that permanent corrosion active, and then he starts doing like insane DOT as the fight goes on, which is so unlike him usually in like short matchups. There I get absolutely rocked by that SP2, and that's fine. But since we have a lot of time to spare, because this is a long fight, like no one does this fight, you know, in like 2 minutes. Maybe some champs do, but I don't care about them right now. But let's talk about Thanos on defense, because that is of course something to mention with both Thanos and the Serpent, because Deathless Thanos, in my opinion, he's not a hard defender, right? He has some mechanics that can mess you up and like cost you a bit of your life bar, because, you know, if you hit into his unstoppable with like the counter punch active, he will obviously retaliate and it will hurt big time. However, This man might very well be the most annoying stall character in the game, and it all adds up, dude. He has 3 stages of protection that can be up to 100% potency. He has Energize, which means he is just constantly ripping those slow special attacks, because this man moves at like 1 mile an hour. He's a big boy, it makes sense, right? Not only that, his health pool is so stupidly high to the point where like he literally is the size of 2 characters sometimes. He is an absolute chonker, right? So all those things combined, plus the fact that there is some defensive mechanics that he has that can like cost you some damage and some life, such as the counterpunch, and his SP2 that has the illusions that can mess you up, and they eat like all your block efficiency as well. So like all these things combined, and he's just a top tier defender. Yeah, his defensive value I think is mainly as a stall, but that is so important these days, especially with this character at like rank 4, because at rank 4 his health pool is stupidly high. If you don't have a mystic character to control his Energize, or you don't have a character with like grit to control his Unstoppable, you will have to wait out a lot. Like a majority of the fight is going to be you waiting out his protection and his Unstoppable and his like counterpunch charges. It is just so silly, man. They did not hold back with giving this man every stall mechanic in the game. And you know what? I'm not even mad about it, because this character, he's meant to be broken, dude. He is Deathless Thanos. This is a character that, even just like looks wise and just presence wise, he just wins every battle he is, put in front of. Except maybe this one, but we'll have to see about that. We'll have to see about that, because, there's still the Serpent side that I have to showcase. There's still the head-to-head, but this video has been really fun to record, because this man just puts up silly numbers. He offers silly things. He has one of the best armor shatters in the game. Sorry, Medusa, but this man kind of just wins. He also does have just stupidly good damage output in any type of health pool. And then he has his defensive value that just really secures him as a near must-have character. Like, you can go about your life not having this champion, but this man will just offer so much to any account, to the point where I'm like, maybe you should spend the units to get the other Deathless characters to unlock this man, because it is just so worth it, right? And this matchup is pretty much over. My voice feels beyond cooked, so thankfully this is the best stopping point imaginable. But yeah, Deathless Thanos, he had his solo video. Next up is Serpent, and then it's the final face-off. So we learned a lot about Thanos today. He just offers so much. He offers some things that other characters would like dream of having, dude. His damage output's incredible. His defensive value's off the charts. His utility is so well done. His ease of use is also just like incredible as well. So this is a champion that is so well put together that you could argue that he is the perfect champion. I'm not going to say that just yet, because there could be someone that's even better, and he might be next up for the series, but we'll have to see. Let me know your thoughts on Deathless Thanos and this series as a whole, and yeah, that's about it for me.